The Senate will come to order. The senators will please take their seats. Those persons not entitled to the privilege of the floor will please retire to the gallery. The senators and all those in attendance will stand and be led in prayer by the Reverend Horace Grinnell, St. Peter Catholic Church, Washington, Virginia.
This prayer was written in the year 95 by Clement of Rome. We pray for you, Master, be our help and protection. Save the afflicted among us. Have mercy on the lowly. Raise up the fallen. Show yourself to those in need. Heal the sick and bring back those who have strayed. Fill the hungry. Give freedom to our prisoners. Raise up the weak. Console the faint-hearted. Let all peoples acknowledge that you alone are God, and that we are your people, the sheep to whom you give pasture. Amen. Amen.
The clerk will call the roll. All those present will please vote aye. Clerk will close the roll.
You have a quorum, Mr. President. Senate Journal for Monday, February 5th, 2018.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. The senator from Russell, Senator Chafin, moves that the reading of the journal be waived. All in favor of waiving the reading of the journal will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 33, noes 5.
Ayes 33, noes 5. The reading of the journal is waived. The clerk will report any communications from the House of Delegates. Senator from James City County, Senator Norman.
Thank you, Mr. President. I respectfully move we waive the reading of any communications received from the House of Delegates.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the reading of the communication be waived? All in favor of waiving the reading of the communication from the House of Delegates will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 32, noes 5.
Ayes 32, noes 5. The reading of the communication from the House of Delegates is waived. The clerk will report any communication from the governor.
We do not have any, sir.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Now's the time we've come to the morning hour. I'd like to call on the senator from James City County, Senator Norman.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I would respectfully move that the rules of the Senate be suspended and that the privileges of the floor be extended to a former distinguished member of this body who for many years was the senator from Henrico and also was the former chairman of the Senate Finance Committee, wherein I could use Senator Hanger and I could use his wisdom today.
I thank the senator. The question is, shall the rules be suspended and the privileges of the floor be granted to a distinguished person? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? Clerk will close the roll. Ayes 40, noes 0. The rules are suspended. The privileges of the floor are granted. The chair recognizes the senator from James City County, Senator Norman, for the purpose of presenting the distinguished guest.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I already did the prelude to that, but if, Mr. President, if you would be so generous to extend an extremely warm and heartfelt welcome to our colleague of many years, the former senator and always a senator in my eyes, Senator Walter Stosh.
Senator Stosh, I would like to thank you for being here today. You really need no introduction. You served this body with such distinguished, poise and have done such great work for the Commonwealth of Virginia. We're honored to have you back here today, and of course, you're welcome here anytime. I would ask everyone, please, to join me in extending the warmest welcome of the Senate to Senator Walter Stosh. Senator from James City County, Senator Norman.
Is this for purposes of an introduction, sir?
Would you like to take up the resolution?
Sir. Well, could I do an introduction first?
Sure, certainly. Senator has the floor.
And thank you for your courtesies, Mr. President and members of the body. Mr. President, I would appreciate it if you would extend a warm welcome to a group in the gallery from the Virginia Alliance of Boys and Girls Clubs. I know that every member of this body is familiar with the work and the civic engagement with young people that this alliance does, and they are here today. And if you would extend a very warm welcome to them in appreciation for their engagement with today's youth, I would appreciate it, sir.
I thank the Senator, and I will also give a gentle reminder, although you all have complied very well, even without it. The Senators will recognize the individual or group. I will then extend the warm welcome of the Senate, and then we will all clap together. Thank you all so much for rising in the gallery. We are grateful to have the Virginia Alliance of the Boys and Girls Club. Please remain standing if you're able. Thank you for your leadership here in the Commonwealth of Virginia. I understand you had a great meeting earlier this morning with the governor, and he sent his greetings, and we send our greetings as well. The work you do is really indispensable to building strong families, children, and communities, and we're grateful for your dedication. I see our friend Alan Diamondstein, of course, is with you, a distinguished public servant in his own right, and thank you all. You're welcome here anytime. I'd ask everyone to please join me in extending the warm welcome of the Senate to the Virginia Alliance of Boys and Girls Clubs. Senator from James City County, Senator Norman.
Thank you, Mr. President. I feel like I'm turning back in the annals of history of the legislature today. More recently, Senator Stassi joined us. But I think that, if I recall, Delegate Diamondstein was first elected in about 1699, and he served to 1723, I believe. But Alan Diamondstein's been a great friend over the years, and when I was first elected a few hundred years after he was elected, he was an enormous friend and mentor to me. But, Mr. President, if I could so kindly ask the body to take up Senate Joint Resolution number 120, sir.
I thank the Senator. The question is, shall the rules be suspended and Senate Joint Resolution 120 be taken up for immediate consideration? All in favor of the motion will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 40, noes 0.
Ayes 40, noes 0. The rules are suspended to take up the resolution for immediate consideration. The clerk will please read the title.
Senate Joint Resolution number 120, commending the Virginia Alliance of Boys and Girls Clubs.
Senator from James City County, Senator Norman.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would respectfully ask that Senate Joint Resolution number 120, commending the Virginia Alliance of Boys and Girls Club, pass or be agreed to, and speaking very briefly to that, sir.
Senator has the floor.
Mr. President, actually, if I had made the appropriate motion about suspending the rules and discharging suspending the rules and discharging the Committee on Rules and waiving the reading, might be in a better posture. But I did want to just point out on the resolution, whereas Boys and Girls Clubs in Virginia serve more than 75,000 young people, which is really extraordinary. So these ladies and gentlemen who are involved in this alliance do an awful lot of good for some young people. So I would respectfully ask that the resolution be agreed to, sir.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall the resolution be agreed to? All in favor of agreeing to the resolution will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The resolution is agreed to. Senator from Bedford, Senator Newman.
Mr. President, I rise for an introduction.
Senator has the floor.
Mr. President, it is my true honor today to introduce to you a group that is in the gallery that has been working with and participating in the Donate for Life for Virginia and for the Virginia DMV. Mr. President, in the gallery today is Ms. Frida Booth Pitts and also Ms. Sandy Bloxam, who are customer service employees with the Department of Motor Vehicles. Mr. President, with them here today is the Commissioner, Rick Holcomb, also representatives from the Secretary's office, as well as 3 representatives from Donate Life Virginia. They are Christina Jenkins, Laura Melbon, and also Bill Proctor. Mr. President, as the chairman of the Education Committee and also Senator from Grayson, who chairs the Transportation Committee, this story has come to us, and it is one that I wanted to bring to the Senate. Mr. President, last year, Mrs. Booth Pitts received a life-saving kidney transplant from her friend and fellow employee, Mrs. Bloxam. Mr. President, the 2 of them are employees that ask every day their customers that question, which is, will you agree to be an organ donor? That's just part of their job, and they do it every day. Now that simple question has a much deeper meaning for them and hopefully for all of us. This is a story of selflessness act from one individual to give part of her life to another that hopefully will move and move us today. Mr. President, I want to thank Donate Life Virginia, also the Commissioner Holcomb and the DMV employees for their efforts every day to promote organ donation, eye donation, and also tissue donation. I also in particular want to thank Mrs. Booth Pitts and also Mrs. Bloxam for being here today. I think they represent what we all would consider to be hope and faith and courage and generosity as they serve their common man. Mr. President, I would hope that you would give this group a warm welcome to the Senate.
Thank the Senator. Would our representatives from the DMV and from Donate Life Virginia please rise in the gallery if you're able? Thank you all so much for being here today, and we echo the really eloquent words of Senator Newman, and really appreciate everything that you have done and what you represent. It really is an inspirational story. I think it's going to touch the life of so many people here in the Commonwealth of Virginia and even far beyond. It is such an important issue, and I proudly wear my Donate Life Virginia bracelet every single day, and we are all very supportive of your work. So thank you for what you do at the DMV to keep us safe, to move our Commonwealth forward, and at Donate Life Virginia. And I would ask everyone, please, to join me in extending the warm welcome of the Senate. Senator from Bath, Senator Deeds.
Mr. President, I rise for 2 introductions.
Senator has the floor.
First, Mr. President, we are joined today by a group from Piedmont Virginia Community College in Charlottesville. They are led by their president, Frank Friedman, and I ask that you give them the warm greetings of the Senate.
Would the representatives from Piedmont Virginia Community College and President Friedman please rise in the gallery if you're able? Thank you all so much for being here. Piedmont is a wonderful institution of higher learning, and I've had the pleasure and privilege of visiting your beautiful campus and was there with the president. You guys have done tremendous work in connecting people up with skills that help them take jobs of the future. It really is one of our crown jewels here in the Commonwealth of Virginia. We're grateful that you took the time to visit us here today at the Capitol. You, of course, are welcome here anytime. And I would ask everyone, please, to join me in extending the warm welcome of the Senate. Senator from Bath, Senator Deeds.
Mr. President, yesterday we recognized advocates who are participating in Children's Mental Health Advocacy Day. Today, advocates from all corners of the Commonwealth are participating in Mental Health Advocacy Day. In the gallery, we're joined by representatives of Voices for Virginia's Children, NAMI Virginia, Vocal, and Mental Health America of Virginia. These folks are spending their day meeting with their elected officials, sharing stories, advocating for adequate resources to improve and strengthen the mental health system. While 1 in 5 individuals are impacted by mental illness, it can take up to 7 years before an individual gets help. These folks are concerned because nearly 25% of all adults in Virginia's jails have serious mental illness. They're concerned about the fact that more than 20% of Virginia's homeless individuals have serious mental illness. We all have a duty to address mental health, to achieve parity between mental health and physical health, to reduce stigma, just to do our part. Mr. President, I'd ask that you give this group the warm greetings of the Senate.
I thank the Senator. Would our constituents from the Mental Health Advocacy Day constituency please rise in the gallery if you're able? Thank you all so much, a large group. Thank you for joining us here today. And we echo the words of Senator Deeds about how important your work and advocacy are here in the Commonwealth of Virginia to really all of our families, particularly to our children, and how you are helping us to eliminate the stigma around mental health issues and create that parity between mental and physical health is something that I think, will achieve in our lifetimes because of the work of wonderful advocates like you. So thank you for being here. You are welcome anytime in the Senate and in the Capitol. And I would ask everyone please to join me in extending the warm welcome of the Senate. The senior senator from Fairfax, Senator Saslaw.
I rise for introduction.
Senator has the floor.
Mr. President, the prayer today, the opening prayer, was given by Father Horace Grinnell, who goes also by the nickname of Tuck. He's from, this, by the way, is on behalf of Senator Obenshain and myself. He's from Washington County.
Yes.
Or Rappahannock County, excuse me. He's from St. Peter's Catholic Church in Washington, Virginia. And he's been there for many years. That church last year collected and delivered 37,000 pounds of food to people who were in need. This was just in 1 year, 2017. And he's been a tireless advocate for people who, are struggling in our society, immigrants and just people generally who are having a hard time making ends meet. He came here today as Father Creedon, who has been here numerous times before, was supposed to be here. He passed away last November, and Father Grinnell was a close friend of his. And I would ask that you give him the warm welcome of the Senate and thank him for opening our day.
I thank the Senator. Reverend Grinnell, thank you for standing in the gallery here today, and thank you for being with us. We are grateful to you for your leadership, for that beautiful prayer that you shared with us this morning, which you reminded us was written in the year 95. Which is pretty impressive. But also what's impressive is the work that you do in the Commonwealth of Virginia to make us such a better place with a bigger heart and care for others. And we hope to follow that example for years to come. So thank you for being here. You, of course, are welcome anytime. And I would ask everyone please to join me in extending the warm welcome of the Senate to Reverend Grinnell. The junior senator from Loudoun County, Senator Wexton.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise for an introduction.
Senator has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Joining us in the gallery today are members of Zero Carbon Virginia. Zero Carbon Virginia is a group of Virginia's scientists, engineers, economists, and public health experts who advocate for carbon-free energy production and distribution technologies. They support solutions that address climate change and public health while advancing economic progress. Today we're joined by Scott Emery, Harrison Creecraft, Vlad Ovchinnikov, and Alice Roby. And Mr. President, if you would kindly extend to them the warm welcome of the Senate.
I thank the Senator. Would our constituents from Zero Carbon Virginia in the gallery please rise if you're able? Thank you all so much for being here today. Thank you for your work and your advocacy in such an important area. We echo the words of the junior senator from Loudoun County. It's so important around issues of the environment, climate change, the economy, and public health. And we're grateful to you for your commitment and dedication to improving the Commonwealth of Virginia in all of those areas. So you're welcome here anytime. And I would ask everyone please to join me in extending the warm welcome of the Senate. The senior senator from Richmond, Senator Sturdivant.
Mr. President, I rise for an introduction.
Senator has the floor.
Mr. President, it is my pleasure to introduce to the Senate today a very special group of young people who are joining us in the gallery. We've got several high school seniors from Powhatan High School, along with their teacher, Mr. Rick Michael, who are joining us today. They took a tour of the Capitol. I had the pleasure of speaking with them, along with Delegate Ware, this morning. And what is really special about these students is that they are part of the Advanced College Academy at Powhatan High School, which means that all of these high school seniors, when they walk across the stage and graduate from high school, this spring will also be earning their associate's degree at the very same time. So these are the best and the brightest of Virginia students that we want to keep here, and we hope they'll all stay in state next fall as well. Would you offer them the warm welcome to the Senate?
Thank you, Senator. Would our students from Paladin High School and their teacher, Rick Michael, please rise in the gallery if you're able? Thank you all so much for being here today. Again, we echo the eloquent words of the senior senator from Richmond City about your futures, which are incredibly bright, and we're very proud of you, what you've achieved to date and what you will go on to achieve. And I know Powhatan is very proud of you, as is everyone here in the Commonwealth of Virginia. So continue to dream big, work hard, and great things will continue to come your way. I would ask everyone please to join me in extending the warm welcome of the Senate. Senator from King George, Senator Stewart.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise for an introduction.
Senator has the floor.
Mr. President, today visiting us in the gallery are members from the Combat Veteran Motorcycles Association of Northern Virginia, Chapter 27-2. And, Mr. President, members ride motorcycles as a hobby, but they have a real important mission, and that is to support and defend those who have defended our country and our freedoms. Their membership is comprised of full members, those that have verified combat service, and supporter members of those that do not have combat military service. But they all have a sincere dedication to supporting and helping veterans. And the Combat Veterans Motorcycle Association is a national organization, but Chapter 27-2 is from my district, and they've come to Richmond today for a very special reason. They're here to remind us of that battle that's being fought for our service members and their families. The battle is to help those suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, traumatic brain injury. And this injury is so subtle that often does not present itself until years after the veteran returns home. And this group are truly heroes, veterans helping veterans. This morning I was honored to be a part of an event where they presented a $22,000 check to the Virginia Veteran Services Foundation to benefit the Virginia Veteran and Family Support Program. And that's only one check out of about $150,000 that they have presented to this organization in support of our veterans in need. Mr. President, I can't tell you how much I appreciate what they do for our veterans, as I know everybody in this chamber does. And finally, I will tell you all that y'all have an opportunity to participate in this, and I'd like to invite everybody to my district on July 28, 2018. You can ride your motorcycle and join us for the 7th Bull Run 3 ride. So, Mr. President, with that, I would ask that you give them the warm welcome of the Senate.
I thank the Senator. Would our friends from the Virginia Combat Veterans Motorcycle Association, Chapter 27-2, please rise in the gallery if you're able. Thank you for being here today and joining us. Thank you also for your service to this country and to this Commonwealth, and also to your fellow veterans for everything that you do to make sure that they are never forgotten and that we always are there to support them in this critical moment in our nation's history, and in particular issues around traumatic brain injury, and as the Senator said, PTSD, something that we have to be very mindful of and provide support for. So your generosity, both financial and otherwise, is something that's inspiring to us all, and we look forward to supporting you and our veterans in that work. So we echo the words, the very kind, generous, eloquent words of the Senator, and we extend, all of us, the warm welcome of the Senate. The junior senator from Richmond City, Senator McClellan.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise for 2 introductions.
Senator has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Today, joining us in the gallery, we have 3 college students who are interning with Dave Bailey and Associates. Selena Lohr, who is a junior at VCU, majoring in public relations and minoring in general business. She will be the student editor of the spring edition of Virginia Capital Connections. We have Shelby Lee Ethington, a junior at Randolph-Macon College, double majoring in English and Communication Studies, triple minoring in Journalism, Women's Studies, and Religious Studies. And she was a J-term intern for the Virginia Capital Connections and served as the student editor of the Winter 2018 magazine. And finally, we have Tanisha Brothers Sutton, a VCU junior who is studying political science and broadcast journalism and currently interning for This Week in Richmond. And I ask that you give them each a warm welcome.
I thank the senator. Would Tanisha, Shelby Lee, and Selena please rise in the gallery if you're able? Thank you all so much for joining us here today. We echo the words of the great junior senator from Richmond City, how proud we are of your work. My wife also is a VCU Ram, so I know we have 2 Rams here, and Randolph-Macon is a wonderful institution of higher learning. We're very proud of what you're doing and don't know how you find time to do everything that you're doing, but we are grateful that you have. So continue to work hard, dream big, and we look forward to seeing you around the Capitol. And we extend the warm welcome of the Senate to each one of you. Junior Senator from Richmond City, Senator McClellan.
Thank you, Mr. President. We also have in the gallery joining 2 middle school students from Albert Hill Middle School here in Richmond, Maddie Dunn and Zaya Polachek, who are here as part of Richmond Public Schools Career and Technical Education Job Shadowing Day. And hopefully they will see something today that makes them decide they might want to sit in one of these seats one day. So I ask that you give them a warm welcome as well.
I thank the senator. Would Maddie and Zaya please rise in the gallery if you're able? Thank you all so much for joining us here today. Again, we echo the words of the senator, and we do hope that you'll see something that makes you want to get involved in our legislative process and process of governance. And we're very proud of you, proud of what you're doing in Richmond Public Schools, and wish you nothing but the best going forward. So dream big, work hard, and great things will continue to come your way. I would ask everybody please to join me in extending the warm welcome of the Senate to Maddie and Zaya. The senator from Lynchburg, Senator Peake.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. I rise for the purposes of an introduction.
The senator has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Today, we have the privilege of having the 13th president from Sweetbriar University, or Sweetbriar College, excuse me, Dr. Meredith Wu. Dr. Wu was took office in May of 2017 and was inaugurated in September. Sweetbriar College has been in existence for over 100 years in Amherst County, and I'm proud to say is one of the most beautiful campuses in the entire state. And welcome, Dr. Wu. Amherst, as I said, Sweetbriar has been in existence for over 100 years. It has a long tradition of liberal arts excellence and is one of only 2 women's colleges in the country with an ABET accredited engineering program. As many of you may not know, Sweetbriar is an all-women's college, one of the few remaining, and Dr. Wu is doing an excellent job to continue that tradition at Sweetbriar. Under President Wu's leadership, in just under 10 months, the college has garnered attention as a new model for liberal arts institutions across the country with its tuition and curriculum reset, including replacing traditional general education requirements with a core curriculum focused on leadership. And under Dr. Wu's leadership, they've also taken new steps to make college more affordable and to make Sweetbriar more affordable for local residents and Virginia residents. So I ask that the Senate please give Dr. Meredith Wu the warm welcome of the Senate.
Thank the senator. Dr. Wu, thank you for joining us here in the gallery and in the Senate today. We echo the eloquent words of the senator from Lynchburg and thanking you for your leadership of a really great institution, Sweetbriar College. We are so blessed and fortunate to have it here in Virginia and to have leaders like you who are taking us into a bright new future with our educational institutions. And so anything we can do to support you, we are happy to do. But we send our congratulations on your successes so far and the ones to come. And I would ask everybody please to join me in extending the warm welcome of the Senate to Dr. Wu. The senator from Russell, Senator Chafin.
I rise to correct a mistake. Mr. President, somehow that button got pushed.
No problem
not
at all.
by my intention.
No problem at all. Thank the senator. Do any other senators wish to be recognized for purposes of introduction? Is there any other business to come for the morning hour? Seeing none, the clerk will call the calendar.
Senate calendar for Tuesday, February 6, 2018. Uncontested calendar. House bills on third reading.
Senator from James City County, Senator Norman.
Thank you, Mr. President. I know I was the only one yesterday who got confused when the House bills appeared on the calendar, and I'm certain I am the only one that does not remember that House bills are amended on the third reading in the Senate, unlike our Senate bills that are amended on the second reading. With that personal reminder, Mr. President, I'd respectfully move that all the Senate bills on all the House bills on the third reading on the uncontested calendar, which would include all House bills on pages 1 through 3, including House Bill 227 through House Bill 836, be placed on their final passage in the block after the amendments are adopted. Any senator who may desire to remove a House bill from the block, please do so after the clerk has read the number of that bill.
I thank the senator. The question is, shall House bills on the uncontested calendar third reading, pages 1 through 3, House Bill 227 through House Bill 836, be placed upon their final passage in a block after the adoption of any amendments thereto, with the understanding that any senator desiring a bill be removed from the block will do so after the clerk has read the number of the bill. All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion is agreed to. The bills are before us in the block. The clerk will read the number of the bills.
House Bill 227, reported from the Committee on Rehabilitation and Social Services with the substitute.
The senator from Spotsylvania, Senator Reeves.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the substitute.
Question is, shall the substitute be adopted? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The substitute is adopted.
House Bill 241, reported from the Committee on Rehabilitation and Social Services. House Bill 291, reported from the Committee on Rehabilitation and Social Services with amendments.
The senator from Spotsylvania, Senator Reeves.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the committee amendments.
Question is, shall the committee amendments be agreed to? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee amendments are agreed to.
House Bill 545, reported from the Committee on Rehabilitation and Social Services. House Bill 836, reported from the Committee on Rehabilitation and Social Services with amendments.
Senator from Spotsylvania, Senator Reeves.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the committee amendments.
Thank the senator. Question is, shall the committee amendments be agreed to? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee amendments are agreed to. Question is, shall the House bills pass in block? That is, all in favor of the motion will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 40, no 0.
Ayes 40, no 0. The bills in the block pass.
Regular calendar House bills on third reading. House Bill 150, a bill relating to child abuse and neglect, founded reports regarding former school employees. Reported from the Committee on Rehabilitation and Social Services.
Senator from Spotsylvania, Senator Reeves.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd ask the bill pass. And speaking to the bill.
Senator has the floor.
House Bill 150 is a recommendation on the Commission on Youth and is part of a series of bills dealing with different aspects of the same program. This actual bill was highlighted from a case of a teacher in Arlington who was accused of inappropriate sexual contact with a student. In 2013, the local Child Protective Services determined that there was a level 1 case of founded sexual abuse, and there was a gap in the law that allowed this individual to quit his job from Arlington during the investigation, secure a job in Maryland without Arlington knowing, and about the disposition of the case. 150 fixes that loophole in the notification process. And currently, the law states that when there's a founded case of child abuse and the subject of the report is current Virginia teacher, that local school division must be notified. In the Arlington case, the local school system was not notified since the person resigned during the investigation. This bill comes close to closing the loophole this bill does close the loophole by adding language that the school district must be notified if the person is currently or was at the time of investigation or incident that led to that report as a teacher. Mr. President, I ask the bill pass.
Thank the senator. Do any other senators wish to be heard on House Bill 150? Seeing none, the question is, shall House Bill 150 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 34, noes 6.
Ayes 34, no 6. House Bill 150 passes.
House Bill 389, a bill relating to child abuse and neglect, notice of founded reports to Superintendent of Public Instruction. Reported from the Committee on Rehabilitation and Social Services.
Senator from Spotsylvania, Senator Reeves.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask that bill go by for the day. There's some work that's going to be done collaboratively on that, and I'd ask that.
Without objection, Senator, House Bill 389 will go by for the day.
Uncontested calendar, Senate bills on third reading.
Senator from James City County, Senator Norman.
Thank you, Mr. President. I respectfully move that all the Senate bills on the third reading on the uncontested calendar, which would include all Senate bills on pages 4 through 14, including Senate Bill 336 through Senate Bill 977, be placed on their final passage in the block. Any senator desiring to remove a bill from the block should please do so after the clerk has read the number of that bill.
I thank the senator. The question is, shall the Senate bills on the uncontested calendar third reading, pages 4 through 14, Senate Bill 336 through Senate Bill 977, be placed upon their final passage in the block, with the understanding that any senator desiring a bill be removed from the block will do so after the clerk has read the number of the bill. All in favor of the motion will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion is agreed to. The bills are before us in the block. The clerk will read the number of the bills.
Senate Bill 336. There are two floor amendments.
Senator from Lynchburg, Senator
Mr. President.
Senator from James City County, Senator Norman.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I have two floor amendments that I'm offering with the concurrence of the senator from Lynchburg. So consequently, I would respectfully ask that we reconsider the vote by which we engrossed and advanced the bill to its third reading.
Senator, can we take this bill out of the block?
I'll respectfully remove the bill from the block.
Without objection, Senate Bill 336 is removed from the block.
Senate Bill 57, reported from the Committee for Courts of Justice with amendments.
Third reading, so you just read the numbers.
Oh, sorry. You got me confused. Senate Bill 180, Senate Bill 309, Senate Bill 347, Senate Bill 361, Senate Bill 364, Senate Bill 368, Senate Bill 392, Senate Bill 475.
Mr. President.
Senator from Chesterfield, Senator Chase.
Can Senate Bill 392 come out of the block, please?
Without objection, Senate Bill 392 is removed from the block.
Senate Bill 543, Senate Bill 566, Senate Bill 568, Senate Bill 601, Senate Bill 643, Senate Bill 725.
Mr. President.
Senator from Hampton, Senator Locke.
Could Senate Bill 725 be removed from the block?
Without objection, Senate Bill 725 is removed from the block.
Senate Bill 785, Senate Bill 840, Senate Bill 841, Senate Bill 868, Senate Bill 874, Senate Bill 882, Senate Bill 890, Senate Bill 931, Senate Bill 932, Senate Bill 941, Senate Bill 960, Senate Bill 961, Senate Bill 977.
The question is, shall shall the bills in the block pass? That is all bills except for Senate Bills 336, 392, and 725. All in favor of the passage of the bills will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 40, noes 0.
Ayes 40, no 0. The bills in the block pass.
Mr. President.
Senator from Grayson, Senator Carrico.
On page 4, House Bill 150, having voted on the prevailing side and by which we passed House Bill 150, can we reconsider that vote?
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall the vote by which House Bill 150 passed be reconsidered? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 40, noes 0.
Ayes 40, no 0. The motion is agreed to. Senator from Spotsylvania, Senator Reeves.
Thank you, Mr. President. Having previously explained the bill, I ask the bill's passage.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall House Bill 150 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 35, noes 5.
Ayes 35, noes 5. House Bill 150 passes.
On page 4, Senate Bill 336.
Senator from James City County, Senator Norman.
Mr. President, in an effort to get to the floor amendments that I'm offering with the concurrence of the patron, I'd respectfully move that we reconsider the vote by which the bill was ordered to be engrossed and advanced to its third reading, sir.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall the vote by which the bill was ordered engrossed and advanced to its third reading be reconsidered? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 40, noes 0.
Ayes 40, no 0. The motion is agreed to. The Senator from James City County, Senator Norman.
Thank you, Mr. President. The amendments have been distributed on the senator's desk, and I would respectfully ask that we waive the reading of the amendments.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall the reading of the floor amendments be waived? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The reading of the floor amendments is waived. Senator from James City County, Senator Norman.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have respectfully offered two floor amendments. The most conspicuous one is the reinsertion of the language that had previously been deleted on pages 40, 41, lines 40 and 40, 41, and 42 of page 1 of the bill, which I was advised perhaps had been mistakenly deleted during the discussion. The other amendment is on line 43, which after the word every inserts the word elected, so it would say every elected public body shall afford an opportunity for public comment.
Thank the Senator. Question is, shall the floor amendments be agreed to? All in favor of the motion will say aye.
Mr. President.
Senator from Prince William County, Senator McPike.
Sorry, will the senator yield for a question?
Will the senator yield?
Senator.
Selectively.
He will selectively yield. Senator has the floor.
I was in the subcommittee, and it's my understanding that the patron had included that deletion, in fact, on purpose. And would it not sort of reverse sort of the intent of the patron's original bill?
Senator has the floor.
Mr. President, without being snarky, and I will say that I did this after reviewing these proposed amendments and having a discussion with the patron, and he is in concurrence, but never pretending to speak for anyone, including myself. I would respectfully yield to the senator from Lynchburg.
Senator from Lynchburg has the floor.
Mr. President, to answer the senator's question and respond to the senator's question, the language was not mistakenly removed at the subcommittee level. I had inserted the language because it involved certain state universities, which I had not originally intended to include in the FOIA bill. The purpose of the bill was to get to people speaking at local elected bodies, specifically a soil and water board. The amendments that the senator from James City County has proposed is consistent with my original intent in bringing the bill. If that answers the senator's question.
Senator from Prince William County.
Senator, a follow-up question to the patron of the amendment, Mr. President.
Yes, sir. I'll be happy to yield.
Thank you. Senator has the floor.
I thank the senator. The question is, so where we have a number of public bodies, this would now potentially exclude the public from giving public comment in these meetings? Is that the intent?
Mr. President, I would respond. First of all, it would not change the law as it now exists. If you were to read the stricken language that I'm now seeking to reinsert, it talks about posting the agendas, but the agenda for the meeting shall state public bodies, et cetera, whether or not a public comment will be received at the meeting, and if so, the appropriate time in the meeting that it will be received. So with those elected bodies, elected public bodies, it would afford them the opportunity to have public comment, and if so, to state when it would occur on the agenda.
Senator from Prince William.
Mr. President, speaking against the amendment.
Senator has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. We had considerable discussion and debate in subcommittee as well as in committee on this provision. In fact, intentionally deleted these provisions, which are now being proposed back in, for the sole fact that we have public bodies that are composed of appointed members that make decisions on millions, in fact, billions of dollars over their tenure on boards, and the public should have right to come speak about that. Those commissions, those boards still have the right to set time limits, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, as a part of their regular scheduled business and agenda. They're well within the rights also to govern and limit the discussion, whether it be 2 minutes or 3 minutes per speaker. But I think it's the right thing to do, to have the people that elected us also have the ability to stand up and speak to those different boards and commissions about issues that impact them. And I'd urge the body to respectfully vote against the amendment.
Thank the senator. Senator from James City County, Senator Norman, wish to be heard?
If anyone else care to speak, sir?
Would any of the other senators like to be heard on the floor amendments? Seeing none, Senator from James City County.
Thank you, Mr. President. I respect what the gentleman has just said, but I was trying to capture the original intent of the patron, and it does restore the language as it currently exists. And I would suggest to Your Honor that I don't think that, Mr. President, I would say I don't think that it has that chilling effect, and it does have the potential, as it was originally written, to be completely contrary to a piece of legislation that we previously defeated within committee. And so it is consistent with previous committee action as well by the way it is currently written, and I would respectfully ask that the amendments be agreed to.
I thank the senator. Senator from Chesterfield, Senator Chase, wish to be recognized? Okay, you're okay. Do any other senators wish to be heard regarding these floor amendments? Seeing none, the question is, shall the floor amendments be adopted? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. No. Chair is uncertain. We'll have a recorded vote. All in favor of agreeing to the motion will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 24, noes 16.
Ayes 24, noes 16. The floor amendments are adopted.
Mr. President.
Senator from Lynchburg, Senator Peake.
Yes, I would ask that we engross and advance the bill to its third reading.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the bill be engrossed and advanced to its third reading? All in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill is engrossed and advanced to its third reading. The senator from Lynchburg,
yes,
Senator Peake.
Mr. President, I would ask that we suspend the rules and dispense with the third constitutional reading of the bill.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the rules be suspended and the third constitutional reading be dispensed with. All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 40, noes 0.
Ayes 40, noes 0. The rules are suspended and the third constitutional reading is dispensed with. The senator from Lynchburg, Senator Peake.
Yes, Mr. President, thank you. I would ask that the bill pass, and speaking to the bill.
Senator has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members of the body, the bill as it exists is how I had intended the bill. It was brought to me by some constituents who attended some local elected meetings and were not able to speak at these meetings of local elected officials. I had not intended to bring in universities. I know the senator from Fairfax has had bills to bring in the universities. I know other people may intend to bring in universities in every public body, whether elected or not. And those may be fine bills, but that is not what my intent was. This bill covers my intent that at meetings of local elected bodies, if a citizen shows up, they will be given the opportunity to talk. And it is for transparency, so I ask that this bill pass.
Thank the senator. The senior senator from Chesapeake, Senator Cosgrove. For what purpose does the senator rise?
I speak to the bill.
Senator has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's with some reluctance that I get up to speak against this bill. Having served in local government, some of our meetings went way into the early morning hours, sometimes to 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning. The thing that really bothers me about the language in this bill is that the governing body, the elected body now with the amendment, would have to give an estimate of the time of the issue that's going to be discussed, during that meeting. And if I understand the bill correctly, the body will have to say, all right, we're going to talk about this particular rezoning, and we assume 9 o'clock. Well, it could very well be 12 o'clock. And I just think there's a lot of opportunity for mischief in this, estimating times. It's almost impossible to see how many people are going to show up to speak on an issue, having served in local government and having experienced that before. So I'm hesitant about the bill the way it's written right now. And I guess I'd ask the patron if he would yield for a question.
Will the senator yield?
Yes, Mr. President, I will.
Senator yields. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd ask the gentleman, is my understanding of the bill correct that the governing body would have to estimate a time when a particular issue is going to be discussed during a meeting?
Senator has the floor.
Mr. President, in response, no, the bill is that they shall have a time for public comment at any point, and they give an estimation of when the public comment may be given. Generally, at most elected bodies, they have it at the beginning of the session. They have a time for public comment. And so when you give your agenda for the meeting, you give a notice of when the approximate time for public comment will be. It does not go into particular issues that may be on the agenda that day.
I thank the gentleman. Just one further comment.
Senator has the floor.
Having been on the Chesapeake City Council, there is a time for non-agenda item speakers at the beginning of the meeting. But then when each issue is discussed during the council meeting, at least in the city of Chesapeake, our citizens can come and talk about whatever they want to on that particular issue of the meeting. My concern here is that I think literally taken, this would require the governing body to let people know exactly what time every issue is going to be considered if they allow that public comment on each issue. So I just think it's a little iffy. So thank you, Mr. President.
Thank the senator. For what purpose does the senator from Alexandria, Senator Eben, rise?
To speak to the bill.
Senator has the floor.
First, I want to thank the senator from Lynchburg for agreeing to work with me further as the bill goes down the hall. I didn't want to slow it down. But I did want to just mention to the senator from Chesapeake, my reading of the bill says on line 46, reasonable restrictions on the time, place, and manner of public comment. I took the time to mean the total time for the comment, whether it's a 20-minute comment period or a 30-minute comment period. So I would say that concern is addressed, at least the way I read it. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank the senator. The senator from James City County, Senator Norman, wish to be recognized.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I would just rise in support of the passage of the bill, and I appreciate some of the discussion that's taken place, but basically the amendments that were passed and incorporated and returned the bill to its original intent. As I mentioned, there had been some legislation introduced to the contrary of this, which had previously been defeated in committee. And if you look under that paragraph F, it says at least one copy of the proposed agenda and all materials have got to be made available to the public. And then it goes on to say that if there is public comment, when it will take place. And when I served in local government and we did the weekly agenda and there was public comment, if in fact we were entertaining it, it didn't give a specific time, but placed it on the agenda as to where it would come in the priorities. And sometimes it would change depending upon the intensity of an issue that might be before it, such as a rezoning issue.
Thank the senator. Do any other senators wish to be heard on Senate Bill 336? Seeing none, the question is, shall Senate Bill 336 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 38, noes 2.
Ayes 38, noes 2. Senate Bill 336 passes.
Returning to page 7, Senate Bill 392.
Senator from Southern Fairfax, Senator Barker.
Mr. President, I rise to speak to Senate Bill 392 and move that the bill pass. And
Senator has the floor.
Mr. President, Senate Bill 392 deals with a situation that has created some confusion, at least at best, and to some extent some actions that have not necessarily been in the best interest of those people that the section is designed to protect and to help. This situation deals with involuntary commitment of a minor. So a minor comes up for a temporary detention order, a temporary detention order is issued. The minor is held for a period of a couple of days, is evaluated, some treatment may be given, and then if there is a decision made that the minor needs to receive further mental health treatment, there will be an involuntary commitment hearing. It's a standard process. It's basically the same for both minors and for adults. What happens with minors is that there's a requirement in the code that the parents of the minor be notified of the hearing and the time of the hearing and the place of the hearing so that they can be present at the hearing if they should choose to participate. What has been happening, however, at least in one of the jurisdictions that I represent, is that in situations where they have been able to notify one of the parents but have not been able to track down the second parent, even when there clearly was justification to be presented that the minor should receive involuntary commitment and further treatment, the magistrates and the special justices acting on these cases have said that you can't go forward with it because you were not able to notify both parents. What this provision would do would be to make it clear that they have to make a legitimate attempt to notify both parents, but not that if the legitimate attempt is made and they're not able to notify a parent, they can go forward with the involuntary commitment hearing. Thank you very much, and I hope it be a pleasure of the body to pass the bill.
Thank the senator. For what purpose is the senator from Spotsylvania, Senator Reeves, rise?
Thank you, Mr. President. Wish to speak to Bill.
Senator has the floor.
I just wanted to remind the members there's a couple of us that actually served petitions on juveniles in here, myself and the senator from Grayson. This is a great step to allow us the process. It's really difficult to find parents sometimes, especially when that parent hasn't been around that place or there's no way to even find them. So I appreciate the senator carrying the bill. Ask the bill pass.
Thank the senator. Do any other senators wish to be heard on Senate Bill 392? Seeing none, the question is, shall Senate Bill 392 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 40, noes 0.
Ayes 40, noes 0. Senate Bill 392 passes.
Page 10, Senate Bill 725.
Senator from Henrico, Senator Donovan.
Thank you, Mr. President. Can Senate Bill 725 go by for the day, please?
Without objection, Senate Bill 725 will go by for the day.
Regular calendar, Senate bills on third reading. Senate Bill 698, a bill relating to erosion and sediment control, inspections, natural gas pipelines, stop work instructions, emergency. We have 4 floor amendments.
Senator from Russell, Senator Chafin.
Thank you, Mr. President. I respectfully move the Senate to reconsider the vote by which the bill was ordered to be engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall the vote by which the bill was ordered to be engrossed and advanced to its third reading be reconsidered? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 40, no 0.
Ayes 40, no 0. The motion is agreed to. The Senator from Russell, Senator Chafin.
Mr. President, I'd like to withdraw floor amendments numbers 1 and number 2.
Without objection, floor amendments number 1 and number 2 are withdrawn. Senator from Russell, Senator Chafin.
I now move to waive the reading of the floor amendments numbers 3 and number 4.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall the reading of the floor amendments number 3 and number 4 be waived? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The reading of the floor amendments is waived. Senator from Russell, Senator Chafin.
And Mr. President, I would move that the Senate now agree to the floor amendments number 3 and number 4. And speaking to that motion,
Senator has the floor.
There was a question about whether the original language in the bill might cause a work stoppage in a greater area than was required upon the finding of a violation. The new amendment simply makes clear that a violation will only affect work at the location of the violation. And the number 4 amendment, the original language in the bill would have provided the possibility for work stoppage upon a violation of a regulation, and it required actual violation. And the new language is a compromise and is a middle ground that I believe has brought peace to the valley. So the issue was whether it was a possibility or actual, and now the new language is something in the middle.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall floor amendments number 3 and number 4 be agreed to? All in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. Floor amendments number 3 and 4 are agreed to. Senator from Bath, Senator Deeds.
Mr. President, I move that we engross the bill and pass it to its third constitutional reading.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall the bill be engrossed and advanced to its third reading? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no.
Now, Mr. President,
the ayes have it. The bill is engrossed and advanced to its third reading. Senator from Bath, Senator Deeds.
I apologize for jumping the gun a little bit there.
No problem.
Now, with respect to Senate Bill 698, I move that we suspend the rules and dispense with the third constitutional reading.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall the rules be suspended and the third constitutional reading be dispensed with? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 40, no 0.
Ayes 40, no 0. The rules are suspended and the third constitutional reading is dispensed with. Senator from Bath, Senator Deeds.
Now, Mr. President, I move that the bill pass, and I'd like to speak to that motion.
The Senator has the floor.
Senate Bill 698 simply allows the Department of Environmental Quality to enter a stop work order, if there's a soil erosion or sediment control problem at any of the pipelines that are currently being constructed. The bill is pretty narrowly crafted so that it only applies to 3 pipelines, those that are more than 32 inches in diameter, The amendments simply clarify the purpose of the bill, and again, I ask that the bill pass.
I thank the senator. Do any other senators wish to be heard on Senate Bill 698? Seeing none, the question is, shall Senate Bill 698 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 33, noes 7.
Ayes 33, noes 7. Senate Bill 698 passes.
Senate Bill 699, a bill relating to stormwater management, inspections, natural gas pipelines, stop work instructions, emergency. We have 4 floor amendments.
Senator from Russell, Senator Chafin.
Thank you, Mr. President. I respectfully move that the Senate reconsider the vote by which the bill was ordered to be engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the vote by which the bill was ordered engrossed and advanced to its third reading be reconsidered? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 40, noes 0.
Ayes 40, noes 0. The motion is agreed to. Senator from Russell, Senator Chafin.
Thank you, Mr. President. I now withdraw floor amendments numbers 1 and number 2.
Without objection, floor amendments number 1 and number 2 are withdrawn. Senator from Russell, Senator Chafin.
Mr. President, I now move to waive the reading of floor amendments numbers 3 and 4.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the reading of floor amendments number 3 and 4 be waived? All in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The reading of floor amendments number 3 and number 4 are waived. Senator from Russell, Senator Chafin.
Mr. President, I now move that the Senate agree to floor amendments numbers 3 and 4. And speaking to that motion,
Senator has the floor.
These amendments are the same as the amendments that were in the previous bill in 698. So the first amendment, again, there was a question about whether the original language might cause a work stoppage in a greater area than was required upon a violation. The new amendment simply makes clear that a violation will only affect work at the location of the violation. And for number 4, the original language would have provided for work stoppage for the possibility of a violation or of a regulation. And the first amendment required an actual violation. The new language is a compromise and represents a middle ground that has brought peace to the valley.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall floor amendments number 3 and number 4 be agreed to? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. Floor amendments number 3 and 4 are agreed to. Senator from Bath, Senator Dees.
Mr. President, I move that Senate Bill 699 be engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall Senate Bill 699 be engrossed and advanced to its third reading? All in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill is engrossed and advanced to its third reading. Senator from Bath, Senator Dees.
Now, Mr. President, I move that we suspend the rules and dispense with the third constitutional reading.
Question is, shall the rules be suspended and the third constitutional reading be dispensed with? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 40, noes 0.
Ayes 40, noes 0. The rules are suspended and the third constitutional reading is dispensed with. Senator from Bath, Senator Dees.
Mr. Chair, I move that the bill pass, and I'd like to explain that.
Senator has the floor.
Mr. President, I realize that the last bill had some no votes, and I want to go a little bit more in depth about what these bills are about. DEQ worked with various groups, including the natural gas pipeline companies, with other industry groups, with environmental groups, and all the language was massaged by each one of those groups. The amendments further clarify and probably limit the purpose of the bill. These pipeline projects, as you all know, are large. The construction activities move pretty rapidly. And these bills, this bill and the last one, aren't about stopping the pipeline projects or stopping any construction. It's about enhancing the tools that DEQ has to oversee these activities and protect the environment. This bill gives DEQ the specific authority to stop work in the event of a flood management issue, a stormwater management issue. The procedure is laid out in the bill. It's pretty restrictive. I don't think there's any opposition except on the floor of the Senate to the bill, and I'd ask you to pass the bill.
I thank the senator. Do any other senators wish to be heard on Senate Bill 699? Seeing none, the question is, shall Senate Bill 699 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 31, noes 9.
Ayes 31, noes 9. Senate Bill 699 passes.
Senate Bill 429, a bill relating to local regulation of solar facilities.
Senator from Franklin, Senator Stanley.
Thank you, Mr. President. With regard to Senate Bill 429, I expected to have a floor amendment today, roll it back to second, and do a floor amendment. There's peace in the valley between our local governments and the stakeholders in this very good solar bill. And there's no floor amendment, so I'm going to have to ask that this go by for the day. But I know that makes the senator from James City County very happy.
Without objection, Senate Bill 429 will go by for the day.
Senate Bill 569, a bill relating to the Department of Professional and Occupational Regulation, Board for Contractors, exemptions from licensure.
The junior senator from Virginia Beach, Senator DeSteff.
Mr. President, I move we pass the bill. Speaking to that motion.
Senator has the floor.
Senate Bill 569 exempts from licensure any person who is a student in good standing enrolled in public or private institutions of higher education, a student enrolled in career training or technical education program, or an apprentice. The bill expands current exemptions for licensure for work undertaken by a person providing construction, remodeling, repair, improvement, removal, or demolition on behalf of a properly licensed contractor by raising the value threshold from $2,500 or less to $5,000 or less per project. Mr. President, that's the bill, and I renew my motion for passage.
Thank the senator. For what purpose is the senator from Alexandria, Senator Eben, rise?
To ask if the junior senator from Virginia Beach would yield for a question.
Will the senator yield?
Mr. President, I'm happy to.
Senator will yield.
As I had noted in committee and now on the floor, it says on line 42 and 43 you're adding a carve-out for students who are in good standing enrolled at a public or private institution of higher education or a student in career training or technical ed. And I still don't understand why we would let a four-year student have this exemption, but not someone like, say, who's a high school graduate who's saving for college, or even a college graduate who's saving for grad school, why they would be treated differently. I'd ask him why.
Senator?
Mr. President, responding to the gentleman from Alexander, it's not just a four-year institution. It's a two-year, four-year apprenticeship program, anything like that. The reason for that is when you're involved in a four-year institution or any of the others that I previously mentioned, then chances are this is going to be a part-time weekend type work. If you've graduated from high school and you're saving for college, you would probably have this as full-time work. So what this does is for full-time employees, it gives them the ability to work full-time for that contractor as an employee of the contractor. On the other, as a part-time employee or an apprentice, this allows a part-time status not for a full year, but while they're home on the weekends or for special circumstances. So, Mr. President, that's why it's structured the way it is. If you could pass, or I'm sorry, for the gentleman from Alexander, Mr. President.
Senator from Alexander.
Speaking very briefly against the bill.
Senator has the floor.
I would just note the bill doesn't say anything about full-time or part-time. And regardless of whether you're a student in good standing and you're full-time or you're working part-time, you've got that exemption. But if you're a high school grad saving for college or other categories, it does not give you that exemption regardless of whether you're working part-time or not. I think it's great that we've got the exemption for apprentices, but I think the bill needs to be cleaned up a bit, and I hope that'll happen down the hall, if not now.
Thank the senator. Do any other senators wish to be heard on Senate Bill 569? Seeing none, the question is, shall Senate Bill 569 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 30, noes 10.
Ayes 30, noes 10. Senate Bill 569 passes.
Senate Bill 222, a bill relating to medically or ethically inappropriate care not required.
Senator from Roanoke City, Senator Edwards.
Mr. President, I move that Senate Bill 222 pass, and by way of explanation.
Senator has the floor.
Mr. President, this fills a gap currently in Virginia's Healthcare Decisions Act by providing a process when there's a dispute between family members on the one hand of a seriously ill patient and the hospitals or doctors on the other hand, when there's a dispute as to what's the appropriate care to be given with regard to life-sustaining treatment options. This is a very delicate situation, Mr. President. There are over 25 stakeholders have worked on this bill, and I believe now with the amendments, especially the amendment that at the end of this process that is currently not in the code about how you resolve these disputes, at the end of it, either party, any party, may seek court review if they wish. And I believe most, if not all, the stakeholders are now on board with this bill. So with that explanation, I again move this bill pass.
Thank the senator. Do any other senators wish to be heard on Senate Bill 222? Seeing none, the question is, shall Senate Bill 222 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 38, noes 2.
Ayes 38, noes 2. Senate Bill 222 passes.
Senate Bill 261, a bill relating to the standards of quality, staffing requirements, librarians, and clerical personnel.
Senator from Roanoke County, Senator Suderline.
Thank you, Mr. President. Can Senate Bill 261 go by for the day?
Without objection, Senate Bill 261 will go by for the day.
Senate Bill 293, a bill relating to license to dispense certain drugs and devices.
The junior senator from Richmond City, Senator McClellan.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Bill 293, as amended by committee, will authorize the Board of Pharmacy to issue a limited license at a reduced fee to a prescriber in a nonprofit facility to dispense certain drugs for contraception and the treatment of sexually transmitted diseases. For many Virginians, particularly low-income Virginians, having to visit first their health care provider and then go to a separate pharmacy to get medications is a barrier to access to those. And studies show that they ultimately don't get those prescriptions filled. So what this bill does will to put certain clinics in line, certain nonprofit clinics in line with what health departments can already do and dispense those drugs on site. You wouldn't have to have a full-blown pharmacy, but you still would have to be licensed by the Board of Pharmacy and meet all of the regulations surrounding dispensing those drugs. With that, I ask that the bill pass.
Thank the senator. For what purpose does the senator from Roanoke County, Senator Suderline, rise? No problem. Do any other senators wish to be heard on Senate Bill 293? Seeing none, the question is, shall Senate Bill 293 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 35, noes 5.
Ayes 35, noes 5. Senate Bill 293 passes.
Senate Bill 339, a bill relating to deferred disposition, persons with autism or intellectual disabilities.
Senator from King George, Senator Stewart.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the bill pass and speaking to the measure.
Senator has the floor.
Very simply, Mr. President, what this bill does is it would allow court to take a case under advisement for a person on the autistic spectrum or with a defined intellectual disability, except in a case of violence. This bill has passed the Senate at least once before, I think it was 2 years ago, and it didn't meet with good favor down the hall, so I'm trying again. We all know that children are people that fall on the autistic spectrum or intellectual disabilities just don't perceive things the way as others do. And I think we need to give a little flexibility to the judiciary in handling these cases, and that's what this bill does. I hope the body will support the measure.
I thank the senator. Any other senators wish to be heard on Senate Bill 339? Seeing none, the question is, shall Senate Bill 339 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 39, noes 1.
Ayes 39, noes 1. Senate Bill 339 passes.
Senate Bill 343, a bill relating to school boards' employment of certain individuals.
Senator from Lynchburg, Senator Pete.
Excuse me, Mr. President. Yes, sir. I move the bill pass and speaking to the bill.
The senator has the floor.
This bill involves the ability of localities to hire felons who have had their rights restored. This bill gives the decision to the local school boards. The current statute bans anyone who has been convicted of a felony from working at a school in the Commonwealth, whether they've had their rights restored or not, no matter how long ago the conviction was, no matter the type of conviction. This bill is in response to Butler versus Fairfax, which the Supreme Court said any convicted felon, no matter what, cannot work. So we're fixing that decision in the statute. It clearly exempts anyone who has any kind of violent felony, any kind of sexual offense, or any kind of offense against a child, or anyone who is on any kind of sexual registry. So this bill gives the freedom, and it also is brought about by the current shortage of teachers. So anyone who's had their rights restored by the governor, the crime was committed more than 5 years ago, can now be hired by a school board at its discretion after interviewing and meeting with the individual. So I move that the bill pass.
Thank the senator. For what purpose is the senator from Rockingham, Senator Obenshain, rise?
Mr. President, speaking of the bill.
Senator has the floor.
Mr. President, members of the Senate, my bill was rolled into this, and let me just explain a little bit more and to amplify on what the senator from Lynchburg said. Over the course of the past 20-some years, we've dealt with a statute that prohibited school boards from hiring any felon whatsoever. For whatever reason, school boards didn't read it that way, and they thought that they simply needed to be notified and that they had the discretion to hire people who met appropriate profiles. And over the course of that 20-some years, since 1994, school boards across Virginia had hired people who had been convicted of grand larceny, perhaps for a $250 violation, as a janitor or custodian or working in the lunchroom. They hired people as teachers. One example was an 18-year-old who was convicted of involuntary manslaughter in a crash involving which resulted in the death of his best friend. He went to college, graduated from college, got his teaching certificate, went to apply for a teaching job, got it, was a beloved teacher, was a football coach, athletic director, and when the Supreme Court took this case up, they went back and said, all of these people across Virginia and school boards across the state who have been hired over this 20-plus year period, you're fired. You can't keep your job. You cannot keep these teachers, irrespective of the fact that they made full disclosure. They didn't withhold anything. They didn't lie. They didn't sugarcoat. They told the school board what they were done, and the school boards were making these determinations themselves as to whether these folks were appropriate under the circumstances. And what this bill does is it goes back and tries to correct that manifest injustice that was done that resulted in the firing of these teachers carte blanche across the Commonwealth of Virginia, and restores to the school board that discretion in appropriate cases. It does not open the door completely. It still has categories of convicted felons who we don't want, who should not be hired by schools. But the intention of the bill, as the senator from Lynchburg mentioned, and my bill, is simply to correct that manifest injustice that resulted in the blanket firing of a lot of people who served our children across the Commonwealth of Virginia very well over the course of decades.
Thank the senator. Do any other senators wish to be heard on Senate Bill 343? Seeing none, the question is, shall Senate Bill 343 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 38, noes 1.
Ayes 38, noes 1. Senate Bill 343 passes.
Senate Bill 4.
Mr. President.
Senator from Western Fairfax. Senator Mars.
Having voted on the prevailing side by which we advance Senate Bill 343, I'd like that vote to be reconsidered.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the vote by which Senate Bill 343 was passed be reconsidered? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 40, noes 0.
Ayes 40, noes 0. The motion is agreed to. Senator from Lynchburg, Senator Peake.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. Speaking to the bill,
Senator has the floor.
I would repeat what I have said and what the senator from Rockbridge said and ask that we pass the bill.
Thank the senator. Do any other senators wish to be heard on Senate Bill 343? Seeing none, the question is, shall Senate Bill 343 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 38, noes 2.
Ayes 38, noes 2. Senate Bill 343 passes.
Senate Bill 466.
Mr. President.
Senator from Roanoke County, Senator Suderline.
Since we're already making the reconsideration motions, having voted on the prevailing side in which the Senate passed Senate Bill 699, I would ask that vote be reconsidered.
Question is, shall the vote by which Senate Bill 699 was passed be reconsidered? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 40, noes 0.
Ayes 40, noes 0. The motion is agreed to. The senator from Bath, Senator Deeds.
Mr. President, the bill was previously explained, and I'd ask that it be passed.
Thank the senators. Any other senator wish to be heard on Senate Bill 699? Seeing none, the question is, shall Senate Bill 699 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 33, noes 7.
Ayes 33, noes 7. Senate Bill 699 passes.
Senate Bill 466, a bill relating to maximum speed limits on certain highways.
Senator from Spotsylvania County, Senator Reeves.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask for the passage of the bill. This is simply I hate to say it, a Christmas tree bill that would allow a couple of roads in mine and the senator from now, King George, the opportunity to to raise the limit. You can speed at your own discretion, Senator Stanley. But I would ask the bill pass. That's all it does.
I thank the senator. Do any other senators wish to be heard on Senate Bill 466? Seeing none, the question is, shall Senate Bill 466 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 37, noes 3.
Ayes 37, noes 3. Senate Bill 466 passes.
Senate Bill 492, a bill relating to towing fees.
Senator from Grayson, Senator Carrico.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move the bill pass. Speaking to the bill.
Senator has the floor.
Mr. President, this simply raises the fee from 35 to 50, or 135 to 150 on towing rates for trespass towing. It sets the rate at 150. The towing boards can set them as low as they like, but this gives it the medium of $150. This will be the first time in 5 years that has increased, and hopefully with the consumer price index of 7.3, this is about 11%. They won't be back for 5 more years. Hope it'd be the pleasure of the body to pass the bill.
Thank the senator. For what purpose does the senator from Franklin, Senator Stanley, rise?
Yes, Mr. President, would the senator from Grayson yield for question?
I will yield.
Senator yield. Senator yields. Senator has the floor.
Mr. President, I'd ask the gentleman what the definition of a car is that is trespass.
It would be that vehicle that goes onto a lot that it doesn't belong on, and the signs are erected not to park here if you don't have the permit, and you would be trespass towing.
Mr. President, further question of the patron?
Further question, Senator?
I'll yield.
Senator will yield. Senator has the floor.
Mr. President, I'd ask the gentleman who would make those determinations when a car is or is not trespassing.
Senator?
That property owner.
Senator from Franklin?
I thank the gentleman, and I appreciate it, sir.
Thank the senator. Do any other senators wish to be heard on Senate Bill 492? Seeing none, the question is, shall Senate Bill 492 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 16, noes 24.
Sorry. Ayes 16, noes 24. Senate Bill 492 fails.
Mr. President.
Senator from Fauquier, Senator Vogel.
Thank you, Mr. President. Having voted on the prevailing side by which we passed Senate Bill 293, I would like to ask that please be reconsidered.
I thank the senator. The question is, shall the vote by which Senate Bill 293 was passed be reconsidered? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? Clerk will close the roll.
I think it was ayes 33, noes 0.
Ayes 33, no 0.
We got to do it again.
Okay, we're going to do it again, if that's okay. The question is, shall the vote by which Senate Bill 293 was passed be reconsidered? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 39, noes 0.
Ayes 39, no 0. The motion is agreed to. Junior Senator from Richmond City, Senator McClellan.
Thank you, Mr. President. Having previously explained the bill, I ask that the bill be passed.
Thank the senator. Do any other senators wish to be heard on Senate Bill 293? Seeing none, the question is, shall Senate Bill 293 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 35, noes 4.
Ayes 35, noes 4. Senate Bill 293 passes.
Senate Bill 509, Senate Bill 496, a bill relating to off-road recreational vehicles highway speed limit.
Senator from Grayson, Senator Carrico.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the bill pass. Speak to the bill.
The senator has the floor.
I'll try to do better this time. This bill was brought to me by Spearhead Trails in Southwest Virginia, a recreational area there in St. Paul that has about 100 miles of trails for you to ride when you come to Southwest Virginia on off-road recreational vehicles. Basically, simply put, under the current law, if the speed limit is 25 miles per hour, you can cross the road to get to the other side to go down the extended part of the trail. This bill would allow you to cross the road when the speed limit is 35 miles per hour. Let's say that Laura allows little Billy Stanley to come out to Southwest Virginia and ride a recreational vehicle. Would we actually want him not to be able to finish his ride just because there's a 35 mile per hour speed limit? No, we would not. So this would allow, simply, it doesn't change the speed limit. It doesn't do anything but allows those recreational vehicles to cross the road on a 35 mile per hour zone. VDOT has already signed off on the traffic plans and signs have been erected. This just brings the law into compliance. Thank you, Mr. President.
I thank the senator. Do any other senators wish to be heard on Senate Bill 496? Seeing none, the question is, shall Senate Bill 496 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 38, noes 2.
Ayes 38, noes 2. Senate Bill 496 passes.
Senate Bill 509, a bill relating to handheld photo speed monitoring devices.
Senator from Grayson, Senator Carrico.
Thank you, Mr. Thank you, Mr. President. Move the bill pass. Speaking to the bill.
The senator has the floor.
Now, Mr. President, we're going to catch Billy crossing the road. Mr. President. Mr. President, this bill actually is designed for the state police to operate a handheld photo device, speed device. It'll allow them in work zones in which they are currently required to stay in that work zone only to pull out when a situation is so egregious that someone's life or limb are in danger. This device will be a handheld LiDAR device that checks speed. It'll have the capability of taking a picture of the license plate so that if someone is speeding above 12 miles per hour through that work zone, they can take a picture of the license plate, mail them a civil citation of a $125 fine instead of having to pull out from that work zone and risk someone's life by pulling out. Now, under current law, if that individual is if the trooper is sitting in the work zone and has a radar and measures someone's speed, they can radio down the highway and ask the trooper to stop the vehicle that came through and issue them a summons that would cost them $250 for speeding through a work zone. This will simply give them another tool to be able to stop or if they feel it's so egregious, they can pull out and stop the vehicle. If it's just simply speeding, it allows them to issue a civil citation through the mail and give them another tool in the toolbox to be able to utilize in that work zone. Hope it'd be the pleasure of the body to pass the bill and slow Billy down.
Senator, point of clarification for Senator from Grayson for the vote requirement. Does this only apply to Senator Stanley? Or is
it could be special legislation if the body would like. I think that's the only one I could get 80% on.
I thank the senator. For what purpose does the senator from Hanover, Senator McDougal, rise?
Mr. President, could this bill go by temporarily for us to?
Without objection, Senate Bill 509 will go by temporarily.
A bill relating to the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, exemptions, courts of record, courts not of record, the Office of the Executive Secretary.
Senator from King George, Senator Stewart.
Thank you, Mr. President. Could that go by for the day?
Without objection, Senate Bill 727 will go by for the day.
Senate Bill 958, a bill relating to invoice for unpaid tolls mail.
Junior Senator from Virginia Beach, Senator D. Staff.
Mr. President, I move the bill pass. Speaking to the bill.
Senator has the floor.
Senate Bill 958 authorizes a tolling facility operators to mail invoices to for two or more unpaid tolls by trackable first-class mail rather than certified mail. The bill provides a rebuttable presumption that the owner and operator of the vehicle has received the invoice, is created in all toll facility operator presence either a U.S. postal certificate of mailing or a certificate of service confirming such mailing. With that, I move the bill pass.
Thank the senator. For what purpose does the senator from Eastern Fairfax, Senator Surville, rise?
It's my microphone. Oh, it works today. Okay. Will the gentleman yield for a question?
Will the gentleman yield?
Absolutely, Mr. President.
Senator has the floor.
I was looking at this, and I was trying to just get a sense of what we're looking at here, because we've had a lot of problems with these electronic tolling systems up in Northern Virginia, where they've been suing people for $10, $20, even I think $50,000 for unpaid toll violations. And first of all, does this bill apply to all electronic toll violation systems? So would it apply to, for example, hot lane operators on I-95, 95, I-66, or I think there's a new one on I-64?
Senator.
Mr. President.
Senator has the floor.
I believe that this would apply to all tolling facility operators.
Will the gentleman yield for another question?
Will the gentleman yield?
Absolutely, Mr. President.
Senator has the floor.
So I guess it would apply to any electronic tolling violation system in Virginia. My next question is on line 199 through 208, or I guess through 219, which is sort of where the meat of the changes are. It appears to me that this only applies to notifications of mailed invoices, not adjudicated summonses before judges, right? So this only applies to when a toll operator sends somebody an invoice and they don't pay the invoice. This does not involve the situation where people have gone to court. Is that right?
President.
Senator has the floor.
If I may, let me correct one of my previous statements. This actually does not apply to hot lanes. And then answering the good senator's question, Mr. President, I repeat the question again, Mr. Senator.
Senator
or Mr. President.
Fairfax, I'm repeating your question.
So when I look here on line 199, it looks to me like this system that we're creating, these rebuttable presumptions, et cetera, we're creating only apply to people who are mailed invoices, who don't pay the invoices, not situations where people have had a summons issued for failing to pay and then it's been adjudicated in a court. Is that right?
Mr. President, I answer the gentleman from Fairfax.
Senator,
yes, that's correct.
Will the gentleman yield for another question?
Will Senator yield?
Mr. President, I've got all day.
Senator has the floor.
So I see here that we're getting rid of the requirement that we send somebody certified mail. And certified mail, of course, we would get a postcard back. Well, it's not clear whether it's return receipt certified mail, but at least it's certified mail. It's just plain old first-class mail. And so I don't see anything in here that talks about this tracking system you're talking about with where they know the mail actually got sent to somebody and was received by them. Where is that in the bill?
Mr. President,
Senator,
if I
has
may,
the floor.
the gentleman from Fairfax, if you look at line 219 and line 220, either a U.S. Postal Certificate of Mailing or a Certificate of Service confirming such mailing. So that's referred to as first-class trackable mail, Mr. President.
Senator from Eastern Fairfax.
Okay. One final question, and then I might speak to the bill.
One final question.
Mr. President, of course.
Senator has the floor.
So just so I'm clear, basically what this says is if the toll operator, whoever that is, mails somebody an invoice and files something saying that they mailed it to them, we don't show whether or not it was actually received by the person at the address, where they still live there or anything else, and then the person doesn't pay, then even though we can't show they ever got it, that the DMV can prohibit them from being able to register their car. Is that right?
Senator from Virginia Beach.
Mr. President, I tell the gentleman from Fairfax, first of all, whether they can register their car or not, that's another bill I had. That one went through earlier this session. But back to this one, it's for 2 or more unpaid tolls. They would send it by trackable first-class mail.
Okay, speaking to the bill, Mr. President.
Senator has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ladies and gentlemen, I just ask that you look at the language of the bill here between line 199 and 220 or 219. And basically what this says is that what I just suggested, that if this toll operator mails somebody an invoice, it just shows they mailed it, and the person doesn't pay it or doesn't pay 2 or more, then we're going to prohibit them from being able to register their vehicle in the Commonwealth of Virginia. And we create this rebuttable presumption that simply because we sent it to some address we have on record, that must mean they got it. I would submit to the body that the DMV's address records are frequently not particularly accurate, that we learned this when in Northern Virginia we had people getting whacked for $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, $50,000 of unpaid tolls because, for example, their credit card would go bad, and when you're riding on the hot lanes, there's no lights or anything that tells you you're not paying, and so they would run up like 20, 30, 40 violations in a couple weeks and not have any clue. And they weren't getting any notices from Easy Pass because their address hadn't been updated. So if your credit card goes bad, you don't update your address with DMV, suddenly you rack up massive toll liabilities. And under this bill on lines somewhere here between 200 and 219, it basically says that the commissioner of DMV can tell them they can't register their car. And it seems to me that before the government takes an action against you like that, the operator at least ought to be able to show you had actual notice. I mean, just sending a piece of mail to somebody's house just shows you sent a mail to their house. It doesn't show that it was the right house or that the right person opened it or the person actually had it in their hand. We see this in court all the time when driving on suspended cases where they can't show that somebody actually knew they were suspended. Sometimes people just don't even look at their mail. But in any event, before the government takes action against you, I really think there ought to be more due process involved in this and more showing of actual notice to somebody before we prohibit them from being able to register their car again. I would hope we vote against it.
Thank the senator. For what purpose does Senator from Fairfax City, Senator Peterson, rise?
Thank you, Mr. President. Rise to speak to the bill.
Senator has the floor.
Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, very briefly, because I think my colleague has addressed some of this. We spent a lot of time on this code section a few years ago to make sure people got notice. Simply mailing a letter to them and calling that a rebuttable presumption, you're going to have a lot of people that are going to lose their ability to re-register their vehicles, which can be a more than a mild inconvenience. I don't know about your household, but in my household, by the time I finally get to the mail after 4 kids and a dog, it's a 50% chance I'll get it. So I really think we need more notice than what we have here. Thanks.
Thank the senator. For what purpose does the senator from King George, Senator Stewart, rise?
Mr. President, would the gentleman from junior senator from Virginia Beach yield for a question?
Will Senator yield?
Mr. President, I'd be happy to.
Thank you,
Senator
Mr.
has
President.
the floor.
Mr. President, I'd ask the gentleman, I too have the concerns that the senators from various parts of Fairfax have regarding due process. But I've got another question. If I understand this bill correctly, the car violates a toll provision, and these civil fines are then sent to an address, not by certified mail, but just regular mail. If the toll commissioner or toll operator then certifies that they've sent to and there's been no response, They can stop you from getting a license plate or registering your car. They can shut you down so you can't drive. That's the way I understand this bill. But here's my question to the junior senator. In order to reinstate your license or your registration, what provision of due process have you set up to ensure that these people have a fair process to determine whether or not they really even owe these tolls? Because they're going to make you pay all these tolls off that you may or may not be responsible for before you can even renew those license or registration. So do you have a fair due process set up so that they can show whether or not they owe them at all?
Junior Senator from Virginia Beach.
President, if I may, let me actually correct a few things too. First of all, one, it does not apply to hot lanes. Secondly, 2 years ago, we spent a lot of time addressing these issues. As a matter of fact, in the negotiations of the customer regarding their easy pass balance and first-time forgiveness policy, et cetera, we resolved a lot of these issues of what was brought up earlier, thousands and thousands of dollars worth of fines. So there's forgiveness on that. Secondly, we're not referring to something that's just dropped into the U.S. mail with a flag stamp on it. We're referring to a United States Postal Certificate of Mailing or a certificate of service confirming such mailing. So it's called first-class trackable service. So, Mr. President, that's the second piece on this. And then third and finally, Mr. President, again, I had another bill that went through this august body, I believe last week or the week before, that actually addressed the issue, stating that if you, I believe you get an additional 30 days to register your vehicle once you have the ability and are found guilty and fined for those specific penalties. And then finally, Mr. President, addressing the last piece, and I hope this is the last piece, and I hope I didn't miss any of the good senators' questions. However, on the last piece, you still have the opportunity to say, it was not me driving the car. So you still have that question that's out there that you can still address with the toll facility operators and the court. This is prior to you going to court. So you still have the opportunity to say, hey, that wasn't me driving the car. So, Mr. President, I believe that that answered all of the parts of the question to this point, or if I've missed one, I'm happy to answer that one as well.
Senator from King George.
Thank you, Mr. President. Will the gentleman yield for another question?
Will the gentleman yield?
Absolutely.
Senator yield. Senator has the floor.
I think I heard a partial answer to my question at the very end. Are you suggesting that these folks would have to go to court to establish that they didn't accumulate these charges before they could then go get their license and registration reinstated?
Mr. President, if I may, first
Senator
of
has
all,
the floor.
They would not immediately pull their license and registration out. So secondly, when you get this in the mail, you can call the toll facility operator and say, it wasn't me driving the vehicle. And then they have a process, a step-by-step process they go through with that. So it's not that they drop this in the mail and then they pull your license, pull your registration, and you have to walk or call an Uber or take a bicycle. There's a lot of steps that you have to go through before you get to that process.
Mr. President, speaking to the bill.
Senator has the floor.
With all due respect from the gentleman from Virginia Beach, and what he's trying to do, I think, is a good thing, but I don't think this bill gets there. And I'm concerned with the lack of due process, particularly concerned with the fact that somebody's cutting my mic in and out. You doing that intentionally? Particularly.
Mr. President.
Senator has the floor. Unless
well, just as an electronics engineer, it could be from overuse.
Mr. President, I'd ask we not support this measure.
I thank the senator. For what purpose is the senator from Alexandria, Senator Eben, rise?
To ask the junior senator from Virginia Beach if he would yield for a question or two.
Will the senator yield for a question or two?
President, I'm happy to yield for a question or two.
Senator will yield.
I would ask the senator, he said several times that this does not apply to hotlanes, but in my reading of the bill, on line 12, it says in conjunction with all electronic toll facilities. Further, it says on line 33, the operator of 33, the operator of any toll facility in which or locality within such toll facility may install an operator caused to be installed, and so on. So could the gentleman tell me where it exempts hot lanes from this process?
Junior Senator from Virginia Beach.
Mr. President, I actually am not sure where it specifically exempts hot lanes, but I know that I've asked that question prior of our attorneys, and they told me that it does not include hot lanes. And then previously, I guess hot lanes is covered under 33.2-503 is the hot lane statute. This statute specifically only applies to electronic toll facilities. So that would be the answer for the good senator from Alexander.
Thank
Speaking
you. Senator
briefly against the bill.
Senator has the floor.
I would just suggest that all electronic toll facilities are in fact hot lanes, along with some others like the Dulles Toll Road. Further, this certificate of mailing may show that something was mailed, but it doesn't show that, if it even reaches the right address, that your teenager who took out your car and drove in the hot lanes didn't see the mail and the notice and decide that he didn't want his parents to know that he drove in the hot lanes. So it doesn't really prove that it was received by the owner of the vehicle. Further, the senator talked about a process where you can call the operator of the toll lanes. I'm more in favor of a process where you call the DMV, but even so, I think this is getting out notices in a way without due process that's unfair, and I would ask the senators to vote against the bill.
Thank the senator. For what purpose does the senator from Western Fairfax, Senator Marsden, rise?
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to speak in favor of the bill.
Senator has the floor.
As a public official, Mr. President, I receive a lot of registered mail, and I've yet to find good news at the other end of a registered letter. I think a lot of people who are not paying their tolls or responding are not likely to respond to a registered letter either and pick it up. I think they're more likely to accidentally open a first-class letter that actually arrives at their home. And I don't think there's a great advantage in these things to getting registered mail, so I'd urge the body to support the bill.
Thank the senator. Senator from James City County, Senator Norman. For what purpose does the senator rise?
Move the pending question.
The pending motion is, shall Senate Bill 958 pass? The question is, shall the pending question be ordered? All in favor of the motion will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. The question is, shall the pending question be ordered? Okay.
Mr. President.
We're going to have a two-step process.
Parliamentary inquiry, this vote is just to call the pending question.
Correct, which is a recorded vote. Question is, shall the pending question be ordered? All in favor of the motion will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 35, noes 5.
Ayes 35, noes 5. The pending question has been ordered. The question is, shall Senate Bill 958 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 10, noes 30.
Ayes 10, noes 30. Senate Bill 958 fails.
Senate Bill 969, a bill relating to history and social science verified credit.
The senator from Bedford, Senator Newman.
Mr. President, I move the bill pass, speaking to the motion.
The senator has the floor.
Mr. President, this bill simply adds social studies to math, science, and English in the method in which it receives a verified credit.
I thank the senator. Do any other senators wish to be heard on Senate Bill 969? Seeing none, the question is, shall Senate Bill 969 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 38, noes 1.
Ayes 38, noes 1. Senate Bill 969 passes.
Returning to page 19, Senate Bill 509.
Senator from Grayson, Senator Carrico.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move the bill pass. Speaking to the bill.
Senator has the floor.
Just to clarify a couple of things that was asked was the information that was gathered in this. The summons has to be, or the civil violation has to be issued within a 30-day period. They can only retain the information for 60 days. And any of that information that's retained after 60 days have to be disposed of. And if it's disseminated after that, there's a $1,000 penalty fine. So the information that's gathered will have to be disseminated. It is, just to be clear, a device that's a LiDAR device, a laser radar device that has the capability of taking the picture. And the reason for that is the vehicle is sitting at a work zone and is required to be at that work zone because of the safety of those people that are working there. This gives them the capability to be able to capture the picture of the license plate, mail a civil citation to the individual if they're speeding above 12 miles an hour in that work zone, and able to and those individuals are able to face their accuser in court. Unlike photo red, it is a photo red, but it's unlike the cameras that are mounted on a pole that the individual gets a summons for. The actual officer is operating this device. I hope it would be the pleasure of the body to pass the bill.
Thank the senator. For what purpose does the senior senator from Chesapeake, Senator Cosgrove, rise?
Speak to the bill.
Senator has the floor.
Ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you'll give this bill a great deal of thought and consideration. The state trooper who's there at the construction site is usually there with his lights on to act as an extra safety measure for that construction area. Just this past week, we actually lost a contractor working for VDOT because he was hit in a construction zone. And people are thinking, all right, the state trooper can just go after that person. But however, that person, as Senator Carrico mentioned, would have to be doing something pretty bad in order for that state trooper to abandon his safety position where he's supposed to be in order to pursue that person. This would give the state police an additional tool to help the safety of our highways, especially in these very dangerous work zones. So I hope that we'll support the bill.
Thank the senator. Do any other senators wish to be heard on Senate Bill 509? Seeing none, the question is, shall Senate Bill 509 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? The clerk will call us the roll.
Ayes 22, noes 18.
Ayes 22, noes 18. Senate Bill 509 passes.
Mr. President.
Senator from Franklin, Senator Stanley.
Reluctantly, Mr. President, because he is so much bigger than I am, and he is my friend, having voted on the prevailing side in which Senate Bill 492 went down in flames, I now move that that vote be reconsidered.
The question is, shall the vote by which Senate Bill 492 failed be reconsidered?
Failed.
All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Failed. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 40, noes 0.
Ayes 40, noes 0. The motion is agreed to. Senator from Franklin, Senator Stanley.
Thank you, Mr. President. And even more reluctantly, and with apologies to the senator from James City County, I now ask that Senate Bill 492 be passed by for another agonizing try. A day.
Without objection, Senate Bill 492 is passed by for the day.
Uncontested calendar, Senate bills on second reading. Senate Bill 983, a bill relating to redistricting of local election districts, requirements for precincts, split precincts, precinct changes prohibited for certain period of time. Reported from the Committee on Privileges and Elections with a substitute.
Senator from Rockingham, Senator Obenshain.
Mr. President, I would ask that this bill come out of the block. Well, that this bill go by for the day before acting on the committee substitute. For one more day, we're trying to work this out.
Without objection, Senate Bill 983 will go by for the day before the adoption of any substitute.
Senate Bill 947, a bill relating to special license plates, emergency medical services agencies, fire departments. Reported for the Committee on Transportation with a substitute.
Senator from Augusta, Senator Hanger.
Mr. President, I move the committee substitute be agreed to.
I thank the senator. The question is, shall the committee substitute be agreed to? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee substitute is agreed to. Senator from Augusta, Senator Hanger.
Okay, we don't have a block, do we? Okay. Mr. President, I move that the bill be engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall Senate Bill 947 be engrossed and advanced to its third reading? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill is engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
Senate Bill 647, a bill relating to alcoholic beverage control, notarization of applications for licenses. Reported from the Committee on Rehabilitation and Social Services with amendment.
Senator from Prince William County, Senator McPike.
Mr. President, I move the committee amendment.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the committee amendment be adopted? All in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee amendment is adopted. The senator from Prince William County, Senator McPike.
Mr. President, I move the bill be engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the bill be engrossed and advanced to its third reading? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill is engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
Regular calendar, Senate bills on second reading. Senate Bill 159, a bill relating to the Commonwealth's lien for payment of medical services limitations. Reported from the Committee on Finance with amendments.
Senator from Roanoke City, Senator Edwards.
Mr. President, I move that it go by for the day.
Without objection, Senate Bill 159 will go by for the day.
Senate Bill 939, a bill relating to retired circuit court judges, Court of Appeals judges, and Supreme Court justices under recall qualification by committees for courts of justice. The committee substitute has been adopted by the Senate, and there are two floor amendments.
Senator from King George, Senator Stewart.
Thank you, Mr. President. First, I'd move we waive reading of the floor amendments.
Question is, shall the reading of the floor amendments be waived? All in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The reading of the floor amendments is waived. Senator from King George.
Thank you, Mr. President. Then I'd like to take these up in a block, if I could.
Without objection.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, this Senate Bill 939 is a bill about qualifying recall judges, and those are the judges that would sit after they have retired in the circuit court. What this amendment would do is it just clarifies that they would have all the powers of a judge sitting as a recall judge. So with that, I'd move the amendment.
Thank the senator. Question is, shall the floor amendments be agreed to? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The floor amendments are agreed to. Senator from King George, Senator Stewart.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the bill be engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the bill be engrossed and advanced to its third reading? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill is engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
Senate Bill 872, a bill relating to tethering of animals. Reported from the Committee on Agriculture, Conservation, and Natural Resources with a substitute.
Senator from Northern Chesapeake, Senator Spruill.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the substitute.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the substitute be adopted? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The substitute is adopted. The senator from Northern Chesapeake, Senator Sproul.
I move that the bill be engrossed and passed to its third reading.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the bill be engrossed and advanced to its third reading? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill is engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
Senate Bill 951, a bill relating to hydraulic fracturing, Eastern Virginia groundwater management area prohibition. Reported from the Committee on Agriculture, Conservation, and Natural Resources with amendments.
Senator from Eastern Fairfax, Senator Servell.
Mr. President.
Senator from King George, Senator Stewart.
Before we act on the amendments, I have been advised by the Chairman of Finance that we perhaps missed a step in this process and that this bill should go back to Finance. So with that, I'd move the bill be re-referred to the Committee on Finance.
Senator from Eastern Fairfax.
Speaking against the motion.
Senator has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ladies and gentlemen, Senate Bill 951 basically, if the amendments are adopted, would impose a 4-year moratorium on fracking. That's shooting chemicals in the ground, breaking up shale rock to make natural gas, only east of I-95. The bill only applies east of I-95. There's not a single shale gas well that's currently being drilled. There's some leases that are out there, but I'm not aware of anybody actually acting on any of the leases. It's not clear to me there's any fiscal impact on this whatsoever, and I would ask the body to oppose the motion. I don't see any need at all for this to go to the Finance Committee.
Thank you, Senator. Senator from James City County, Senator Norman. For purposes of Senator rise.
I rise to speak in favor of the motion from the chairman of the Agricultural and Natural Resources Committee to re-refer the bill to the Committee on Finance.
Senator has the floor.
I would say to you, Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen of it, we've spent an incredible amount of time in the last few days talking about various forms of energy and alternative energy. And on all of these related matters, I think inherently within the subject matter are some fiscal considerations. And so I respectfully ask that the Senate Bill 951 be referred to the Committee on Finance so that we can assure that there is no fiscal implications of that.
Thank you, Senator. The question is, shall the bill be re-referred to the Committee on Finance? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. No. Chair is uncertain. We'll have a recorded vote. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 23, noes 17.
Ayes 23, noes 17. The motion is agreed to. The bill is re-referred to the Committee on Finance.
Senate Bill 984, a bill relating to motorboats, means of propulsion when person in water accompanying boat. Reported from the Committee on Agriculture, Conservation, and Natural Resources with amendments.
The senior senator from Chesapeake, Senator Cosgrove.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the committee amendments.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the committee amendments be agreed to? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee amendments are agreed to. Senior senator from Chesapeake, Senator Cosgrove.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that we engross the bill and pass it on to its third reading.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the bill be engrossed and advanced to its third reading? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill is engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
Uncontested calendar. Senate bills on first reading.
Senator from James City County, Senator Norman.
Thank you, Mr. President. I respectfully move that all the Senate bills on the first reading on both the uncontested and regular calendar, which would include all Senate bills on pages 25 through 28, including Senate Bill 287 through Senate Bill 982, that the rules of the Senate be suspended and that the first constitutional reading of the titles be dispensed with.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the rules be suspended and the first reading of the titles of Senate bills on the uncontested and regular calendars, pages 25 through 28, Senate Bill 587 through Senate Bill 982, be dispensed with? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 40, noes 0.
Ayes 40, no 0. The reading of the titles is dispensed with. Senator from James City County, Senator Norman.
Mr. President, I would now ask all of the bills which find themselves on the second reading be passed by for the day.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall the Senate bills on the uncontested and regular calendars now on second reading be passed by for the day? All in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bills will go by for the day. Senator from James City County, Senator Norman.
Mr. President, inquire the clerk. Does that complete today's calendar, ma'am?
Thus ends the reading of the calendar.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Is there any other business to come before the Senate?
Mr. President.
Senior Senator from Virginia Beach, Senator Wagner.
Could we return to the morning hour for purposes of an introduction?
Without objection. Senator has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. And Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, there are American success stories and there are American success stories, but there are some that just rise to the top. There's a young couple who met in Lehigh University, came to Washington, D.C., started a small company, built that company up and sold that company for some pretty good money. And you would think the story might stop there, Mr. President, but it doesn't stop there. This couple has involved themselves in philanthropic organizations all around, particularly in Northern Virginia, but indeed all over the Commonwealth. This particular individual, Mr. President, as she has involved herself in issues of solar energy. She's involved her issues of career technical education and so many things that keep this Commonwealth moving in the right direction. Her and her husband have taken what they've done and actually invested much of it right back here in the Commonwealth of Virginia, Mr. President. Kind bars, you may have tasted those. You can thank this couple for the Kind bars. If you have the Square D on your thing where you slide your credit card through, you can thank this couple for that innovation. If you've ever watched a Capitals game, a Nationals game, a Wizards game, this couple had a hand. And if you ever watched a movie, Spotlight, the Reverend, this couple had a hand in those too. Mr. President, I can't follow everything that this couple does, but indeed, it's a true asset to have a fine couple like Fred and Karen Schofield as citizens of the Commonwealth of Virginia. Today, Mr. President, we have visiting with us Karen Schofield, and I ask her to give her the warm welcome to the Senate.
I thank the Senator. Karen Schofield, would you please rise in the gallery if you're able? Thank you so much for being here today and for joining us. It's hard to follow those eloquent words by the Senior Senator from Virginia Beach. We are very grateful for your and your husband's success and also for all that you do and contribute here to the Commonwealth of Virginia to make us a better place and to help everyone to have a shot at the American dream, just as you all have done in your own lives. So we are very grateful to you. I see you're seated next to the Senior Senator's wonderful wife, and he married way up, just like so many of us, and we're grateful that you both are here. And so with that, I would ask everyone, please, to join me in extending the warm welcome of the Senate to Karen Schofield and to Mrs. Wagner. To any other senators, Senator from King George, Senator Stewart.
Mr. President, returning to the morning hour.
Without objection.
And not to step on your turf, Mr. President, but there's a very special person with Ms. Schofield in the gallery, and it's the spouse of my seatmate. And I say this time and time again, Lord knows she gets an award of the year for being the spouse of my seatmate. And I cannot tell her how much I appreciate her management of him and how it helps the rest of us through the day. Mr. President, but what I really want to do is commend her on what she does for the food bank in Richmond. She works with the Pages every year and raises thousands upon thousands upon thousands of dollars. Some of it she extorts from us, but she raises thousands upon thousands of dollars to support the food bank in such a worthy cause, and I hope that all of you all will give generously again this year. Mr. President, with that, I hope you'd give the warm welcome to Lucille Wagner.
Ms. Wagner, would you please rise in the gallery? Thank you so much for being here today. We're happy to greet you twice, and it's been wonderful to see you around the Capitol. You're always a smiling, wonderful presence, and you're so generous to everyone, and we're very grateful for you. Also, as Senator Stewart mentioned, your work with the food bank here in Richmond is really inspiring and something that we all look up to and appreciate dearly. And so thank you for being here today. Thank you for allowing Senator Wagner to be here and serve the Commonwealth in the distinguished ways that he has as well. So we appreciate you as a family, and I would ask everyone, please, to join me in extending the warm welcome of the Senate to Mrs. Wagner. Do any other senators wish to be recognized for purposes of introduction? Is there any other business to come before the Senate? Seeing none, the clerk will report any announcements on the desk. Senator from James City County, Senator Norman.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I rise for an announcement, please, sir.
Senator has the floor.
Mr. President, I would like to remind those of us on this side of the aisle that immediately upon adjournment, that if you will please return to the prayer room where we will undertake some considerations. Thank you, sir.
Thank the Senator. Clerk will report any announcements on the desk.
Today, Tuesday, February 6th, the Republican caucus will meet immediately upon adjournment in Senate Room 2. The Committee on Local Government will meet 1 hour after adjournment in Pocahontas, Senate Room A. The Committee on Privileges and Elections will meet 1 hour after adjournment in Senate Room 3 in the Capitol. This is a time change. Privileges and Elections 1 hour after adjournment in Senate Room 3. The Finance Subcommittee on Education will meet at 3:30 p.m., 5th floor Subcommittee Room number 1 in Pocahontas. Senators Norman, Newman, Howell, Saslaw, Hanger, Rupp, Donovan, and Stewart. The Education and Health Subcommittee on Health will meet at 4 p.m., Pocahontas 5th floor Subcommittee Room number 2. Senators Cosgrove, Black, Barker, Lewis, and Suderline. Wednesday, February 7th, the Finance Subcommittee on Public Safety will meet at 7:30 a.m. in the 6th floor Senate Leadership Conference Room in Pocahontas. Senators McDougal, Howell, Norman, Lucas, Carrico, and Obenshain. The Women's Legislative Roundtable will meet at 8:30 a.m. in the Credit Union House, 108 North 8th Street. The Committee on Finance will meet at 9 o'clock a.m. in Pocahontas Committee Room B. The Republican caucus will meet at 11:30 a.m. in Senate Room 2. The Democratic caucus will meet at 11:30 a.m. in Senate Room 1. And there are 8 days left. That's for you to find out.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Senator from Bedford, Senator Newman.
Mr. President, I move that the Senate do now adjourn until 12 noon tomorrow.
I thank the Senator. The question is, shall the Senate stand adjourned until 12 noon tomorrow? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion is agreed to. The Senate stands adjourned until 12 noon tomorrow.